Yeah, I know, because like I said, when I read the article, and again, I know that is the stereotype of homeschool. And I will say, I have not researched this, so this is totally my opinion. But in the article, it was an adult. I'm guessing they're maybe, I don't know, 40 years old or so. The people who were homeschooling kind of back in the early days, I think tended to be more of those fringe type people who sort of didn't do homeschool the right way, so to speak, where they were keeping their kids isolated. So that, I guess it doesn't really surprise me when I hear of adults who were homeschooled who had experiences like that, because it is so different now. And like I said, you had the very small...
and they kind of had to hide away, so they felt like they didn't want to be seen out in public for
That's
a certain,
true.
during school hours.
And a lot of people probably, it wasn't legal in places. So I guess that doesn't fully surprise me that there are some adults who may have had that experience. But I feel like now it really has changed so much. But then kind of the flip side of that is with the technology, because that treating that as a bit of a substitute for the socialization. We don't want that to become too much. Right. But I see, with the phones and the iPads and things, is that when I also with the iPad, when we got that was for research and typing and things like that. It always starts
out as such
exactly,
a great
and
thing.
then it turns into eating breakfast, and then suddenly it's
can't we just watch a little?
What's the name of this? Or can I just at night, and then it's can I watch this video? Can I watch that? And then it just kind of cascades. So we've set time limits that I don't think they can get on anything until 11 a.m. And that's the goal, is to have some of the main part of the day done by then, and that way any research can be after that. But it is a hard balance, and we have the Covenant Eyes. I know you talked about that. That's a software that you can get to restrict some content that would be inappropriate, but it's not even always the content. I mean, certainly that's an issue, and you do need to keep up with that. And I will sometimes go on and see what site, just every so often, what's going on. But just the time, that's also a concern for me is, but I guess that's the thing with homeschool, that's different for everybody. Some people only allow 15 minutes of games a day. Some people only allow on certain days, or some people so many minutes per day. So, it's really your decision.
And I would say, if I could go back, sitting down with your husband and saying, these are going to be the rules, these are the things we're going to do, because I am really bad about setting the rules and then making an exception here for a certain reason, and then that exception it keeps extending itself, and so I'm constantly having to pull back. It's frustrating. Technology is such a wonderful thing and a horrible thing all at the same time.
Yes. Yeah. So I think laying those ground rules, in the beginning, is very important.
Sticking to them. Stick to them.
Yes. But definitely with socialization, I appreciated the article. Like I said, it was a little uncomfortable for me, because I'm just like, no, homeschool's great. There's no downside. And then I'm like, okay, we have to be honest, we have to look at everything, through different lenses. So I do think that it is something to consider, of making sure that the socialization, it doesn't fall by the wayside. And I do see some value in the self-perception, the self-assessment, so to speak. And one aspect of socialization in homeschool, and some people may disagree with me, but I have found that when my kids do have social issues, like an argument, or they're not getting along with someone, I'm usually not very far behind. So that way I can kind of come in and help intervene when it's necessary. I know that sometimes with homeschooling, again, another danger of homeschooling is the helicopter parenting, where you're just on top of everything, and you're constantly getting involved in every little, tiff or something that your kids are going through. But I saw my son and a friend, they were playing a game online, and they got into an argument. And then they kind of stopped the conversation, ended the conversation. And then I overheard enough of it that I was able to say, hey, what happened? So my son and I kind of talked about it a little bit. And then his friend ended up calling him back. And then they
Nice.
sat and I just, was just listening. I didn't, jump in and, but they talked it out, and they're 10 and 11 years old. And at that age, I never would have talked it out. I would have just been go home angry, then go tell so what they did, then tell somebody, I get as many people angry at them as I could instead of just talking it out. But I do feel there was a value in that I was
you're there.
not so far away, not on top of everything. And that, he was able to work that out. And we've had that happen other times where even here at co-op, if something happens that way, I'm very quickly there and available to intervene. Whereas sometimes in school, I would have things happen and nobody had any idea what was happening. Even if a teacher saw it, they wouldn't necessarily tell my parents, what was going on, and certainly not, talking with the other family. And I do think there is a value in that of, and also, again, knowing when to back off and let them, to work those things out, that we're not helicoptering, so to speak. But do you see a value in that, again, as a parent, just kind of being there to intervene in social situations, quickly?
Absolutely. But it's also interesting that even though we're homeschoolers, like we're dealing with a lot of the things that the public schoolers are dealing with. So, all of the sexual things and, all the things. Mm-hmm. And I'm there to be able to address it completely in the moment, talk it through, give the right perspective. When they're learning it at school and then they come home, a lot of time has passed.
Yeah.
And you're not going to get the whole story. It's just different. And so I was public schooled, obviously, and I learned all the things on the school bus mostly. But,
absolutely. And I never would have told my parents.
No.
I never told them what I heard.
And we didn't have any of those conversations. And it definitely hurt me in a lot of ways. It affected a lot of decisions I made that were very poor later. And, I live with those consequences even now.
That's a good point.
So, I have been super glad to be able to walk through some of those things. But, of course, the day-to-day things that they're working through. Obviously, they're texting their friends, and then there's all sorts of drama. And then we can talk about that right in the moment, which is good.
And I don't think anybody is saying that homeschoolers are somehow perfect or that they never argue or that they never have, social anxiety or any of that. No one's saying that. But I think there is a value in the parent being the one to intervene. And being fairly quickly, like I said, it's not like a lot of time is lapsing, but that's really important about the sexuality. And I remember hearing a long time ago, it was someone said that you as the parent, you want to be, get that conversation started first because you don't want it coming from the friends and you don't want it coming from any entertainment.
And that's primarily why we chose to homeschool, is so we could be there for those conversations in those situations. That's
true. Yeah, and I remember that because like I said, the conversations with my parents about, certainly not with my dad at all, but with my mom, it was, fairly short. It was just, okay, just say what I have to say and that's it. But I did take that advice and I was like, okay, I want to get in on this first. And that has really proven to be successful because now they do come to me and they do talk to me and I don't have to go beg it from them.
Right.
They will come freely. And so hopefully it will continue that way. But that's true. Yeah, I never had that type of guidance. So I think that is important. And also just like the being there because those things do come up in the world and through experiences. So some other, facets of socialization, and again, homeschool, at times there are certain dangers with socialization. And I think the article, again, the link will be in the description box to be aware of, but also a lot of positives that can be accentuated and hopefully to build up our kids through their full holistic education.